And recording.
And recording.
Yes.
Did you hear? Recording is in progress.
I love
And
it.
now we. Oh shit!
And I can see perfect.
And I also have myself now on YouTube Live, and I heard myself in the and recording again. All right, everyone, welcome to the what episode? The third episode.
It's the third one.
The third one. And today we're going to talk about franchise. But before that, I think we should all introduce ourselves. Just a quickie. So my name is Irina Varove, and I am squire to Sir Edricus, and I live up in the north of Nordmark. Edricus.
Me. I'm Edricus filius Offaeus. I am a pelican. I live in the Shire of Aros, which is just outside of Stockholm. And I've been in the society since I think 96 or something like that. So a big part of my life. Next.
Leah, maybe?
Yeah. I'm Leah de Thornegge. I was apprenticed to Mistress Helvig Ulfsdotter and was elevated as a Laurel in 2012. I found the SCA in Ontario, on the US West Coast, in January 2000, and I got active in Drachenwald here in the Shire of Aros in 2002. I went to Autumn Crown tourney, and I was very cold with my summer garb from Ontario.
Oh, no. And Padraig.
Yeah. I'm Count Padraig. I've been active in the SCA since 1989, 1990 sometime. Was never a squire. Was knighted 20 years ago. I live in the Shire of Juneborg, which mundanely is Jönköping in Nordmark, Sweden.
And my name is Jedvard Lejonbringa. I am squire to Gilliam Blackhorn. And I also live in Styringheim, that is on the biggest island in Sweden, Gotland. As per usual, if there is anyone who is listening in live and you have a question, you can either join in on the Zoom, on YouTube, or on Facebook. I will try to keep an eye on everything. So if you want to say something or if you have a question, just ask there.
Yeah. All right. So with that out of the way, we're going to start with a little warm-up round. And we are going to rotate who answers first. So the warm-up round is just a question. Can you, with one word, describe something that you associate with the chivalry? Leah, would you like to take us away?
With one word, trustworthiness.
Great, thank you. Padraig.
I would say integrity.
Cool. Edward.
I was going to say, we've answered this twice already.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's better for all the others to answer this one.
Yeah, let's do that. So, Edricus, what's yours?
I would go with courage.
Yeah. Great answer. So we're going to immediately jump into this subject. And since me and Edward is we've discussed this and we realized we don't really know what franchise is. We find it a little bit confusing. So that's why we asked you to come and help us a little bit to kind of try to define it and talk a little bit more about it to make it a little bit less confusing. So the first question is, how do you define franchise? And I think, Padraig, can you start us off?
Yeah, there are many different ideas of what franchise is. For me, I think franchise uh, is really agency. It's the ability to stay true in the role you have, and to take that seriously and with integrity. To me, that is franchise. Um, don't don't just put on a white belt and pretend you're a knight. You're actually supposed to be the part as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good answer. Edricus.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about this, and I had to Google it, and I had to read, and I had to think for a few days because it is a difficult concept. I like your response, Padraig. I think agency is a really good way of putting it. What I was thinking about is being tempered. I was going to say temperance, but that sounds like the temperance movement, and that's not what I mean. But tempered, as in when you're making tools or making a knife, you heat treat it and then you temper it, so it doesn't become too brittle and it doesn't become too soft or too hard. It turns into a useful tool. So I think that is an aspect that would go with the agency that you need to have. You're acting the part, but in order to be able to act the part, you need to have this finding this middle ground in things, or where it's useful. So you're not just hitting people too hard all the time, or using the same thing all the time. You have to temper it according to who's your opponent or what you're doing, and have that guide your behavior as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Leah.
So franchise, in period is you're born to the noble estate, and that's your franchise. When I first heard the term franchise, I was like, so like McDonald's, so franchise.
Yeah.
I also had a lot of problems with that, but I've been thinking about it for a long while, and now since you asked us to be here, to a little more closely. So franchise, when you inhabit franchise for the SA, you are, for me, fully comfortable, aware, and in control of what your role is. You bring full control, and you can navigate the social space that you have, and you are aware of the social space that you have, and you can do that with confidence, and much like Padraig was saying, that you have agency in that, and you can also bring that to others. So a person who embodies franchise knows what they can do. They have the space of their actions well defined, and they know what they're doing and what they're not doing, and they can also bring other people in and make them comfortable in that space. So you have agency, and you can also shine a little agency on others in your space. That's a person with franchise is somebody who can enhance the atmosphere and inhabit, actually be the knight or the peer or the royalty, and not just play a role, play acting.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. Jedward, do you have any thoughts about it so far?
No. It's so new, and it's a area that I haven't explored at all. And as we said, when we first looked into this, I was like, well, I should really study, but at the same time, it's so much better to actually learn from someone who knows a bit more. And when I hear it, that you guys also be like, well, I had to look it up myself because it was a while ago. So yeah, no, it's gonna be amazing. I don't have like any thoughts about it right now, but I can see what you mean with becoming the part more. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the other questions are gonna be, what the answers are gonna be.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
discussing these sorts of issues is an excellent and wonderful way to learn about them and to explain to yourself also what you mean and hear others' perspective. So this is a great way to study about franchise, to discuss it with others.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, when you talk, like when we said, okay, let's do franchise, I was like, oh shit, how are we going to even, like, where are we going with? And I've read, I've tried to read up on it, but I feel like I don't really grasp it. But now when you talk about it, I feel like bing, like it's something is going up. The awareness of that it is sort of stepping into a role, but it's also kind of embodying that role, and to allow other people into that space, and encourage others to also step up into that role, and not do it like not do it falsely, like just truly stepping up to it. So yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot already. So the next question is, so franchise is a historical term, as you said, Leah. It was something that you were usually born into, but how can we use franchise from the historical term? How can we use that and translate it and use it as a guide in our modern life, or like in the SCA? How can we? Yeah, do you understand the question? So Leah, would you like to start?
Yeah, I thought about this question, and I think it's if we can commit fully to the context we are in, to be a participant and to take the space that we are afforded, to live that, we can also help others by letting them know that they belong, because we feel that we truly belong, and that they are allowed to play with us. And in our society we play, but we're actual people and we do it for real as well. But commit to the context and participate. I think that's how you can use franchise for good in your modern life. Wherever you are, just commit to the context you're in, unless it's actively harmful to you, of course.
Oh, I really, really like the part also you said about belonging, to know that you belong, and to help others know that they belong. That was also a really good question, a good answer, and to commit fully to context. Yeah. Padraig.
I think this is a hard one, actually, for a modern context, because there are no hard borders and borders the way we have them in the SCA, or even more the way they had it in the Middle Ages. And I think it's easy that franchise in this modern era becomes just I don't know, buzzwords or things. I think there are so many other things I find more relevant in our modern world apart from franchise. I don't really have that natural group in this modern times. I mean, I could of course say, well, I am a white heterosexual male, and that is the group I should use as franchise. But it feels a bit corny, to be honest. So I don't really think about it that way. It's much easier in the SCA. We have, like it or not, we have predefined roles that are given to us, and it's much easier to use that role when you, for instance, encourage people who are in armor for the first time, or whatever it could be, So I'm a bit hesitant on the modern world part. Yes, there are things we could use, but I would rather describe them with other words, like honesty and compassion and such. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a very interesting question. So answer. So kind of if we differ between like the historical word and in our modern life, that it's a lot easier to back in that age to step into a role, because that was so much more embodying, like for a knight or a teacher or a scholar of any sort, to step into the whole role versus today, where we are usually kind of pushed into specific roles, like you said, heterosexual male. It's not really the same kind of way to embody, it's not we don't embody the kind of profession in the same kind of ways. That am I getting you right?
Yeah, and also I have no desire to be pushed into that role, because I rather see us as equal individuals and let everybody do their own thing, and be kind to each other anyway. So yeah.
Thank you, Edricus.
Oh yeah, no, it's a really tricky one actually, because as we were talking about just before the session started, that there is not really a good translation into Swedish. There is nothing I know of that like goes into this franchise in the all-encompassing it is in the old text and what it was. And we also have to remember now that quite a lot of the old nobility, they were right old bastards. You became a duke by killing a lot of people and being fairly unscrupulous about it. It's like looking at history, violence was quite a lot of it. So there is, yes, you have this, and there is the obligation to your lord or to your king and to the crown, and there is also the expectation that if you fuck up, somebody's going to chop your head off. That's part of the deal. But apart from that, trying to look at it from a modern perspective, I think part of it is community. That as SCA wide franchise, it's being part of a community. Now you can look at it then in different parts when you start looking at roles. Brings me back to sociology studies and Irving Goffman, who speaks about the self and the masks, basically that doing different tasks, you have different masks you can put on. And that comes a bit back to the agency, comes a bit back to the how do you perform, that you can sit in your camp with your friends and hang around and do stuff. And then it's court and you're called up and you put on a mask, you put on something when you step out into the public arena. So a part of it would be how do we perform in the public arena as peers. At times, me and Leah is sitting over here since we're married, and we talk about that you go from somebody who is an audience on a something to somebody who is participating in making the machine run. That with this you turn into kind of the oil that make the cogs grind a bit better, and I think there is something hidden in that that can relate to franchise. You have to believe in the system. You have to feel that you're a part of the community to add yourself into it. And actually, if somebody else is called into court, I have to realize I'm also part of the performance. That's what happens in the peer ceremonies. The peers are up there as a part of the performance, as a part of the franchise. You can talk about small in groups and larger in groups and stuff like that. Something like that.
Oh, super interesting. I really like that you brought up the masks and the cells, but I also so like my takeaway from that is the ability to see your own value in the community. that to see that you have a value and that you're actually a part of it, and by being here, you're actually being a part of the dream and making it better.
And I think also that you have to realize that by being somewhere, you're adding parts of yourself to that thing or event. And it can be as simple as doing or looking at things that might not interest you. That they're interesting in the society, but it might not be what I'm especially interested in. But by learning about it, you're learning about the SCA, and you're putting, as Leah said, you're putting your not your fragrance, your franchise, your kind of light on this, and saying that yes, this is important. What you guys are doing is great. It's nice. It's wonderful. I might not be doing it, but I appreciate you're doing it. So that's also part of it, that transferring the light to somebody else.
And that is especially true if you are landed nobility. I mean, if you serve as king, queen, or prince and princess, you do have an obligation to make people feel seen, and to make sure that all aspects of our hobby is highlighted. Even if you are not very interested in dance, you go and you watch the dance because that's what you do. It's part of your job, and it's part of the franchise. So yeah.
That's super interesting. Thank you. Ylva, do you have any thoughts on so far? any reflections?
I mean, yes, because I can understand it a bit more, especially since I've sat as prince, and I do understand the whole shine the light upon someone else, because I was not the important person. I was kind of important because I was the one who held the spotlight, and I had the ability to shine it upon someone else. And to be part of a franchise, I was trying to sort of make it as, take the example of McDonald's, because we all know that one. Because you have a concept that works, and if you want to create this concept, you just put it over here. And they started it over in America, and we have just taken everything and done the same thing here. So it's basically a franchise. But I see all the building stones connecting. And to be, if I loop back, to be the person that can show everyone else that this person has done something specific, or they have done something amazing, and you should really look at them and see what they have done. That is, it's amazing to be able to do that for someone else. And at the same time, I was invited for dinner. Me and the princess was invited, and we sat at a long table. We had everyone sitting there, and they sat in age-wise. So the oldest one sat closest to us, and then the furthest away were the children. Halfway through, we switched, or they switched. So the children had to move up and come closer, and you can see their eyes going, are we allowed to sit up there? And at that moment, I realized, oh my God, this is for real. This is the real thing for them, because I am the prince in this society, in this world that we have all created. And without all the building stones, we couldn't have done this. And when I saw that on the kids and heard it, oh, okay, yeah, yes, I am the prince. It was amazing. So I understand more of what franchise is in this concept. I do. So I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I had a little epiphany while you were talking, but I will get to that in a minute because it fits a lot better than for another question. So the next question is a little bit more personal about how we relate to franchise, and I think who would I think Padraig is the next one to start.
Okay. The short answer is I really don't think about it. I try to be the kind of person I would like to meet, and then everything else goes along with it. So I try to be fair to other people, and I try to help people when I can, and I try to do the best of situations. Other people will have to be the judge on how well I succeed, but I must say that franchise in itself is not really a big part of it. Maybe it is, but it's not a conscious decision. But so much is already embedded in honor and honesty and perseverance. I really don't single out franchise in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Edricus.
Oh, I'm close to going with what Padraig said. But I have to add some more words to that. It's I think this is what is one of those that no, I don't really think about people in what kind of franchise do they show and stuff like that. But I could probably think about what kind of a community builder are they, and what are they doing for the group? What are they doing for the community? And adding these things in. And as I said in the beginning, how well tempered is this individual? Do they get angry when things do not go their way, or do they talk too much, or do they listen too much, or there is a balance of everything, and I'm not sure if that possibly could be hidden in franchises, like a kind of like a slush bucket of things like and there is like franchise, but it's difficult because it is not a concept that exists as a word for me, which makes it really difficult. I have to think about it, and I have to consider other things, and those other things, community, agency, belonging, acting, they speak much better than franchise, which is like we take all of these things in together and we're trying to get something out of it. It's much more difficult. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really seems like it's a hard defined virtue. Lia.
So how much do I relate it to franchise? I think this concept of actually stepping into the role and embodying it, I relate to it mostly when I sometimes feel like I'm an imposter. So in the imposter syndrome, am I actually a peer in the laurel, or am I just playing a role? But much like Padraig and Edricus, this is not a concept that I often think about. Possibly because I haven't really had a very good definition, and if you can't define what you're thinking about, you can't really think about it properly. But this discussion was a very good excuse to look up some things and to think about it. So I made some discoveries here, thinking about the questions, and but yeah. So this has been very good. I'll probably relate to it in a more deeper way in the future.
I could add that I think we may actually care more about franchise as a group in the chivalry circle, even though we do not clearly define it or address it as franchise with a pointy finger, but I think that the discussions we have in the circle and how we behave and what we want to how we want to be, and the role we have in the SCA and in the fighter community could very well be defined by franchise. I mean, for instance, when we asked Helga to talk to people and come back to us, because we cared about our franchise, our agency, the role we had. So I think more on a group level than on an individual level, actually. Yeah.
I could. That's a really good angle on the question, and I think on at Double Wars we had the Pelican Q&A with Bubbly or something like that, and I think one of the items that came up quite a lot, which goes back a bit to that and goes back a bit to the performance and showing up, is like, but nobody knows who you guys are for the Pelican. Because a lot of Pelicans are a bit uncomfortable with taking that role, and I think that the role is there, and you need to fill those shoes, and they can feel really big at times. So there is this that show your regalia, show that you are a peer, and just don't sneak around too much with it, because it's important for others to see that you are a peer, and use that as a tool to help people or help the society, help the group.
And that meeting, the day after, you could really see a lot of them wearing all the regalia, so you could actually see, oh, you have a red hat on. I see.
Yeah, I love that, because suddenly you saw them everywhere, and it was so fun to see. But I really enjoyed listening to that talk as well. Next question is, how do you promote it or talk about it with your younglings? Which is, for those who weren't here in the first episode, younglings are the term now for squires, scholars, proteges, and what's the last one? Sorry, apprentices, no? Yeah. And we don't know what the term for the new peerage youngling will be, so
Targets?
No.
Targets. No. Oh dear. So we have just shortened it to younglings. Do all of you have younglings?
I do.
I do.
All right. So this might be more for Ed and Leah then to talk. Do you have a conversation about franchise? Or do you think
we might now?
I mean, not really. I haven't really done this with any conscious thoughts, and it's not been. Today we're going to talk about franchise, but in the I have a place, and I feel comfortable in this place, and I can help others to also commit and belong. So what I have done is provide a context where my apprentices can fully belong, and permission for them to take on the role of apprentice and also the role of artisan. So I through my franchise, they feel a place to belong, and they know their action space, and it could expand. Action space is all the things that you are able to do, that you think you're able to do. I mean, one of the things that is a problem for the SCA is sometimes who has the mandate to do something, who thinks they have a mandate to do something, and other people, who do they think have the mandate. So I can give a mandate to my apprentices, say, I believe that you are a proper artisan, which gives them permission to say, yes, I am a proper artisan. Sometimes people who do art stuff feels like, no, this is I'm just playing with macaroni art. Duchess Siobhan. So, I haven't really, done it consciously, but I give them a place to belong and permission to take what they do seriously.
I think
Oh.
that, yeah, I think you're onto something here with the letting people know that something is okay to do, and I mean, saying that you enjoy running a group, it's kind of not the most flashy thing to say, but it's important that we actually agree that it's okay to enjoy doing things, working in the background. And it's also a combination of working in the background or allowing people to do that, but challenging people then to step up and take the role, to behave like the peer or behave like the leader that this might be considered to be, that it's an aspect of leadership. Put on the regalia so people can see that you are. Don't try to hide yourself, because that's, I mean, going back to history, nobility did not try to hide who they were. It was very obvious who was the nobility, and they invested quite a lot in making sure that everybody knew that they were nobility. And that's also, especially in Sweden and Scandinavia, we're talking about jante, the law that you're not supposed to make something big about yourself. Well, this is actually the opposite thing. Franchises, make yourself seen, put on the belt, put on the chain, put on the regalia of what you are, and show the world that you are that, and act according to this law. Without, you have to do it with humility and honesty and all of this, but be a good mentor in these areas and try to help people to accept that it's okay to want to be a fighter, to do violence, or it's okay to want to be competitive, which we might not always think it's okay when you come from a geeky or nerdy background. It's, I actually enjoy hitting people, or I really enjoy Excel and hacking spreadsheets in order to make something work much better. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. But even if you don't have a youngling, Padraig, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with what they say. Actually, I wouldn't bring this up. I've had one squire, but that was many years ago. That was Master Mons Knutsson Kotte, and he was knighted quite a few years back, and I haven't had a squire since. So, and we never talked about this specific topic, but I mean, it is covered when you talk about all the other things in how to behave, and also, of course, how a squire or apprentice, how their behavior will color their knight or their pelican or their laurel, of course, as well. So yes, I mean, it would be a subject on what is expected and how to behave and how to fit in the role, but not in this particular wording, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. Jedward, do you and Gilliam, do you talk about this in any way, or?
No. Well, in one way, yes, we have. But it's not as much of us talking about it within the SCA. It's more of what we do outside of the SCA, or how we act, how we are as people. And I've talked to him about it a little bit, that I really look up to him because he is a role model. And he is a role model for a lot of people. And I would never want to make that image of him be something less. or make it a bad thing that I am his squire. I rather keep it at the level that it is right now, or even try to make it better if possible. But I do know we have talked about it a bit when I think about it, and just try to be yourself and be honest to yourself. Be humble, be courteous, do everything. But also, if something would happen, as Gilliam says, shit flows upwards. So if I do something bad, he will hear about it, and he will come and talk to me about it. So we talk some, yes, but as we said, the word franchise, no, but the meaning behind it, yes.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit of a theme, that franchise is sort of unconsciously influencing a lot more than we maybe think about it. Because I feel like, I mean, Edricus, we haven't specifically used the term franchise, but when we talk about it like this, I can still see that it's absolutely a part of our Squire Knight relationship, that what he teaches me about what being a squire means, what being a knight means, but also like how I am practicing, or what I'm learning to not only step into the role, but also to kind of become the role, if that makes sense. So that the at least parts of it, because I do think that there might be a little bit of a difference between who you are in court, the role you might step into if you're at court, but also the role you are as yourself, and working on yourself, so that there's also like that part of it, to work on yourself and to become more chivalrous, and to be comfortable to step into that role. And I think we've talked a lot about that with becoming more comfortable. For me, I think taking up space sometimes is a bit hard, and to be allowed to be comfortable in that, and to see that I'm not just stepping into a role, I'm actually becoming more and more comfortable in it. Might be a part of franchise as well. So yeah, so it's I think it's a part of our conversations, even if it's not named. Yeah. So the next question is, when evaluating a candidate for the order, and I think like for all the orders, how much of a role does franchise play, and what do you look for? Edricus, you want to start?
This is a tricky one. Oh, we don't really talk about it, and then we talk about it for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to this like maturity of being able to do the part. Is this an individual, looking at it, who can fulfill the part? I was reading a newspaper article about the Swedish guy who won the European Championships in Kendo last week, and when he won, there was no celebration on the mat, because that's not expected of you. It's not until you walk off the mat and get to your team that you start celebrating. So, I mean, are you performing according to like the rubber standard, that is, what do we expect of a peer? How do you handle a conflict? How mature are you in dealing when things go wrong? Can you give and take critique? Can you do feedback? All of these things, lots of social things. How can you work as a leader? Can you work as a leader? How do you make people feel safe around you or not? It's one thing in the list, but outside of it, are you somebody people want to work with? Those are things I would look for in trying to find this well-rounded character that perhaps is hidden in the word franchise. Next.
Yeah, Leah is next.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really talk about this explicitly, but if I'm looking at franchise and how do I evaluate a candidate, I would say that franchise is in how somebody belongs in our society. I mean, we have artisans who are, masters of their mundane craft, and they come into the SCA. That doesn't make them a laurel immediately, because they don't have all of the other knowledge of the SCA as a society. So peers were supposed to have a well-rounded base of knowledge in all of the aspects of the SCA. Do you know corpora? Do you know what are customs and laws and rules are, and do you know how to find them? We say to new people, go, if you have a question, go find a peer. They should probably know it, the answer to your question, and if they don't personally know the answer to the question, they know somebody who will. So the part of franchise is how much do they belong in the society and how much do they know. So this is a recognizable thing, but I mean, like I said, franchise is a sum whole of a whole bunch of other things, but it's not arrogance. You shouldn't, you should approach it with humility. Don't think that you know everything, but yeah, I don't know, a slightly rambling take on, how much do they belong and how much can they do. There's a a very high standard. I don't know a lot of peers or people who can live up to this, but if you take a person who's a peer and put them in a place where there is no SCA, can they recreate a group that looks like the rest of the SCA? If you can do that, you have a vast amount of knowledge about the SCA. You know how the fighting works. You know how events set up. You know about court etiquette and all of that. So franchises. Yes, I know the context I'm in, and I can communicate it to others.
That was a really good. I've heard like a different take on that. If can this candidate be sent to another kingdom, and we will feel comfortable that that person represents the kingdom or the order in a good way. Yeah, that might also be a franchise. Now that I think about it. Padraig.
Yeah, this differs quite a bit between different individuals, I'd say. We argue quite a lot in the chip circle, and if you ask for prerequisites for candidates, you will get as many answers as you have knights in the circle. But we generally don't use the word franchise, but of course we do value the meanings behind it, as we have discussed earlier. We normally look at, I'd say we look at three things when we look at candidates. We look at their prowess, of course, obviously. You will not become a knight if you are not a good fighter. That's just the way it is. We look at, are they a pillar of the society? Do they have the peer-like qualities? Do they contribute to what we do? Or are they just stick yokes? That's the second part. And the third part is, of course, are there any problems with this candidate? They can be very, very active. They can be really, really good at fighting, but there could still be something else that is off with them. Maybe they have a really, really hard time with keeping up appearances if they are drunk. That is not a plus. Of course, this is franchise when you start to take it apart. But the exact proportions of these individual pieces of the puzzles, they vary quite a lot. I mean, my brother Sir Cormac, he has a very, very simplified version where he says, fight like a demon and behave. That's his. That's what he is looking for, and he admits himself that, well, it's slightly more complicated about that, but the essence is fight like a demon and behave. And I mean, there is something to it, but in this behave lies quite a bit of franchise as well. And I think that many people in the circle are looking for franchise qualities without naming it franchise, because we are really, really, really looking at what candidates express leader qualities, what candidates step in and do what needs to be done and do it naturally, which of course is franchise. And that is organizing. It could be taking control of a unit in a war. It could be something else. It could be making sure that dinner is served on time, or whatever it is. Being a pillar of the society. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really very interesting. Jedward, do you have any reflections?
No. I don't have any reflections. I just got another question that we can take after this. But no reflections actually. Yes. But
How
do you have any
exciting.
do you have any reflections?
Yeah, I think about because I've heard this a lot too, the statement, strive to become a knight, not knighted. And I think in that sentence, I feel like it becomes, or that there is a lot of franchise to step into the role and to become a knight, with everything that entails. Yeah, that was my short little reflection. Do you think that the question should be now, Jedward, or should we take the other one first?
Yeah, it's just a side question.
Side quest. No.
Side quest. We were talking about that you have younglings, and one of my questions were for Edricus and Leah. Are you right now looking for more younglings, or are you fine? And for Padraig, are you looking for someone for a youngling also?
This is like a advert.
Like
Are you looking? Are you looking for a squire?
Because we did it also in the first episode.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a nice comeback to you should really go and watch all the previous episodes from Squire-talk.
Yeah.
For myself, I'm not actively looking. I have multiplied myself twice already, and I have now a third apprentice. So I've had 2 apprentices, and they have both been elevated as laurels. And I have the Honorable Lady Christina Stolte as my apprentice. But I'm not closing down the books. If somebody is interested, we can talk, absolutely. But I'm not actively looking to bring in more people.
I have 3 proteges right now, and that's basically what I think I can handle. It's not a lot of work, mind you, because they're really good, but it's the how much energy do you have for relationships, basically. So that might change, but no, I think I some years ago decided that 3 sounded to be like a good number for me to be able to deal with the things I wanted to work with people on. And it also gives a small group an opportunity a bit to work themselves together and solve some things and stuff like that. So at the moment, I'm in the book is closed. So there is no no job offer at the moment, something like that. Internal joke, yes.
For a brief moment, you had only 2, and then you filled up the 3rd spot.
Yeah. That was last year at Double Wars.
I'm not actively looking for anyone. I'm always passively looking, but I'm also very careful on that it should be a good match. And I would not accept a squire without having extensive talks over quite some time, so that we have the same expectations and stuff. And I also think that I may not be the best match for many people, squire wise. So there's that. So we shall see. We shall see.
We shall see. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, great side quest.
I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also feel very strongly that I don't see personally a power differential, but there's a perceived power differential. So any apprentice should always have an option to opt out. When I first take an apprentice, we start 1 year as a student relationship and see, do we actually want to do this? And then after 1 year, we say, do we want to continue this? And we check in every year. And there is always the option to say, no, I don't want to continue. And I feel very strongly that that's an important aspect.
That is actually something that me and Gilliam has. So we have now decided that every Double Wars is our check-in date.
Nice.
Because we can't really do the 1 year, 1 day thing. I'm very nerdy for me. But it's easier to say every Double Wars we have a sit down and we actually talk and say, is this still a thing or not? And if it would come to no, this is not something that we want to continue, there's no bad blood behind it.
Yeah. And I think this is actually a real problem. I've seen quite a few relationships between knights and squires that may not be the best, but it's hard to wiggle your way out of them. People are unwilling to do it, or they don't want to hurt someone's feelings, and especially if we have a knight who suddenly becomes less and less and less active, and it's tricky. When do you return the belt? So yeah, I absolutely agree with Leah. You should formalize opting out from the very start.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's never a thing. If it comes up, I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I really love these talks. And because I really agree. What were you saying, Eddie?
It's like really good relationship advice quite a lot of the time. That you have to be on the same track, have the same idea, and realize that it might not happen, but make it a good ride. And I think you mentioned before, Aaron, the strive to be a knight, not to be knighted, and I think that is really, really important. The knighting or the elevation, that's something external, something somebody else has an agency over. But the striving to become or to better or to work towards that franchise, that's on you. That's your internal drive, and not just go for the external trappings of the chain, the belt, the medallions, the funny hat. It's the working to better yourself, which is something we find in quite a lot of groups and settings. Actually, in some ways, the SCA is a bit like a mixture between the Boy Scouts and the Freemasons. That we do quite a lot of things, and then we have rites and rituals that kind of elevate and do things with you. But go for the develop yourself, not get the trappings, because that is going to be disappointing sooner or later. You get the stuff, but if you haven't changed yourself towards the stuff, it doesn't really matter. You're going to end up with, oh, I got the black belt, now what? And you quit, because getting it called up into court and being made was your goal, not becoming a better person.
And it's a real hurdle. It's a real hurdle. We talk quite a lot in the Shiv circle when we talk about candidates, and it's a big thing that some people are really keen on being knighted, to the point where it affects how they behave and how they do things in the SCA, and it is not fast tracking them. So yeah, I mean, it took me more than 15 years to get knighted, and I had very consciously made the decision beforehand that I will fight because it's fun to fight. I will do whatever I love in this society, and the rest is not up to me anyway. So that's the way it is.
Yeah. I'm also going to sidestep, not so much, just a little bit, because when I think it's so interesting, like what we're talking about right now, about bettering yourself and becoming a better person, and kind of stepping into something, and also become a knight, not be knighted. Do you think that is it possible to only become that in the SCA, or does it have to work into your modern life as well?
I think it probably should work into your modern life. I mean, one of the great things about the SCA is if you take it seriously, you can make yourself a better person, and that's a conscious thing for me as well. At least I didn't achieve perfection when I was elevated. I try to be a better person at all times. You know, I'm learning and becoming better a little bit every day, every year. But I think one of the great things about the SCA is we talk about these things that make you a better person, and you know, if it doesn't affect you also outside of the SCA, is that actually franchise then, or putting on a role?
Yeah.
I had some great thoughts, but I lost them. It's like, oh, this it was like, yeah.
I agree with Leah, but I also think it's really hard to know. I've been in this society for 35 years now, and if I hadn't been in this society for 35 years, I mean, I would still have 35 years of life experience, and it's hard to look at myself from outside the box. I don't know what would have become of me. I like to think that I've become a better person by the SCA. I've seen quite a few people becoming better versions of themselves from the SCA, and but I also think it's a bit. It's very easy to romanticize what we do. So I'm not sure how much of it is real and how much is not. But I also like to think that what we are in the SCA must be a reflection of who we are for real. I don't believe in this. I can be a prick in modern life and just hang on a new cloak whenever I go to the SCA. I mean, I don't think a racist will stop being a racist just because he goes to an SCA event. I'd like to think that if you have people in the SCA that you consider to be good people, that's because they are good people and not because their persona is a good people. So
I mean, that's fair. Life experience hopefully teaches you to become a better, more empathetic person. But the SCA also encompasses many different people from many different walks of life that we otherwise wouldn't have contact with. So contact with other people and discussion with people who are not like you.
It's absolutely an experience, like many others. So yeah, of course it has influenced you in some way.
But there are other places you can get these experiences as well. Absolutely.
I was thinking about the connection between mundane life and SCA life, and I some years ago realized that I was doing things in the SCA that I used in my mundane life, like stepping up and speaking in front of 100 people, and then that helped me to become better at my job. And I was doing things in my job that I then could use doing the SCA. So I thought it's like a ping pong game. It's been going back and forth. I've been doing things here that helped me be better here. Did something here, helped me become better, and stuff like that. So I think it's a good training ground, and sometimes I think clubs and associations can be seen as kind of like a social training ground where you actually get the opportunity to grow, and you get the opportunity to be thrown in the deep side of the pool. First time you get called up into court, you're really scared. What the hell is going on here? I don't want to be seen. Well, if you're ever on the path of peerage, you're going to be seen a lot, so you get used to it. So I think that's part of it, is that there is it's an arena where you can train and practice certain things that you are not necessarily used to or being thrown into in your daily life. And I think that is a really important aspect of the SCA, that it gives us that arena. Then it's, as Padraig is saying, and as well, is that you can get the same experience in another place. But I mean, if you decide to enter Crown Tournament, or you decide to enter an archery tournament outside of the SCA, the feeling is the same when you're signing your name on the paper. I want to be a part of this. So this is where the hobbies actually has their strength. They give people arenas to do and practice things. And it's not necessarily only the SCA, but you have a fairly wide thing, the net thrown out. And our big advantage is that you can actually change your interest between completely different things and keep your friends. And I think that is one of the really, really big strengths of the SCA that you don't see in that many other groups or organizations. If you quit playing football because you want to serve hot dogs, but here you could stop being a fighter and you could cook feasts. Completely different, same people.
I normally describe SCA as this is not a medieval recreation society. This is a social society wrapped in a medieval context.
Yep.
So
Ooh.
you may start in the SCA because you think it's really, really cool with the medieval times, and your first banquet, your first feast is, I mean, it's amazing. You will never recreate that feeling again. But when you've been to 20 feasts, you've been to them all. You can't get the dopamine kicks out of perfect reenactment. You get fed up with it. I mean, not fed up, but you will be full of it. You have experienced it all. You need something else, or you wouldn't stay. And so, I mean, I don't go to events because they are playing medieval times. I go to see my friends, and it just happens to be in a nice context and with cool clues, and I get to whack people in the head with rattan sticks. And that's a bonus. But I mean, it's really for the social life I return.
We started as a very cool party with a medieval theme, and we've just, it's gotten out of hand. Really.
It's gotten out of hand. Someone's gotta put an end.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But that also makes it very, very very easy to compare to other groups. Because I say we have more in common with the Scout movement, for instance, than people realize.
Yeah.
Because they grew tired of tying new knots as well. They also return because they want to meet friends. They like the context, but it's also a social club, and we have very, very much in common with the drive and what makes us do the things we do.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. You came for the cool stuff and you stayed for the family that we kind of became.
Mm.
So yeah.
And it's also I really like the tangent you're going on here, Padraig. It's also the feeling of going through an evening at Double Wars or an evening at Camping Visby or an evening in Raglan or some other event with the music. Somebody's playing, there is the sounds of people cooking, there is some dancing, there's some singing. It's absolutely magical. And it's like you can't explain it. There is no way you can explain it. There is no photo, there is no movie that can explain the feeling you get when you are in that place at that time. And I think that is the really difficult, untangible things that it's like it's an experience. And I think that's what makes it so valuable to people. You invest of yourself in this, and then you're a part of it. And you're standing there in the pouring rain outside somebody's party at 1 o'clock in the evening, and there's mud up to your ankles, and you're freezing, but you're having a great time. It's a really odd aspect of it, wet wool and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I truly agree. I think we're gonna go to our last question. And our last question is, how can we promote franchise in our society? And we've kind of talked a little bit about this already, but I still feel like we want to take this question and see if we have more, if we can deepen it even further. If that's possible. I feel like we've talked, gone quite deep already. I've completely lost count. I think maybe Leah is the next one to answer.
Yeah, I think we've talked a little bit. If we take my thesis that to embody franchise is to feel comfortable at home and fully inhabit your role, what we can do to promote franchise is to help others to feel that they belong, that they have agency, and that they can act and contribute to our society. And making sure if you know your role and your social space, if you're aware of others and their comfort, you can help them to feel even more like they belong, and that they also can contribute and belong fully. So hopefully we can be aware of others and help each other feel safe and accepted and belonging.
Yeah, thank you for that. Padraig.
By being role models, I think. I think the only thing we can do is look to ourselves and how we behave towards other people around us, and be true to that, and see what needs to be done and try to do it.
Yeah. And Ed.
These kinds of conversations are really good because people not even us who are part of this panel understand the concept. It's kind of funny. But I mean, it's also, as my friends here have mentioned, it's giving people room, and with that being a role model, but also stepping back and letting others take space. Because if we would go solely on the medieval version of it, the person with the most franchise would be on the top and try to fight to be on the top all the time, and that would be kind of not a very good functioning society. But we have to realize that you have to step back and you have to let other people do things. Mainly be coming out of a pelican here that don't do all the things by yourself all the time. Give people place to help out. Realize that it's not going to be the way you wanted it, but it's going to be good enough. And it's going to be, if we don't let people practice to reach good enough, they will never get to the franchise peerage level good enough, which is perhaps a bit higher. But if you don't help people, and you can actually help people by stepping back and mentor them instead. So that's that would be my small take on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you have any thoughts on this, Edward?
Well, after this wonderful talk, I would say I'm gonna try to be the role model, or be someone that someone else can look up to. Like, aim for that a little bit more. Yeah, I think try to do a little bit better. Do that little thing extra. That's what I'm gonna aim for.
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah, I was like, I have these 3 takeaways, and I'm like, oh, maybe when you say that, yeah, I think the next step for me is to see how I can to think a little bit more about what knighthood means, what does the role mean, and see in which ways that I can try to step up into it, but also how I can learn from it, and what parts do I want to become a part of my personality, or what do I want to learn on a deeper level, not just to not just have it as a role, but also embody it for me personally, and how can it help me become a better person in my day-to-day life, but also in the SCA. Yeah, I think another takeaway that I really liked is, Leah, what you have talked about, belonging. I think that's a beautiful way to talk about a franchise, to know that I belong in the society, and how can I help others to know that they also belong, and that they are a part of it, and that we're making the dream together. I think that's yeah. Do any of you, our wonderful guest, have any other takeaways? Anything else that you want to say or comment?
No. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You've been, I mean, oh, what a great conversation this has been. I feel like I came into this with nothing, and now I leave with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've learned so much. I've 100% more knowledge than I did know, but yeah, I've learned so much.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a very good learning opportunity. Yeah, so I want to thank you so much for coming and talking to us and taking time to be here. And I also want to take time to say thank you to those who have listened, both here on Zoom, but also on YouTube. Those who have been listening over there, thank you so much. Yeah, we haven't really super decided when the next time will be, but we'll put it out on Facebook. Yeah.
I'll be listening.
I'll be listening.
Oh shit, no pressure.
Nope.
Okay, thank you so much, and have a